All right. Thank you all for being here tonight. We return to the open meeting, and our first item tonight is the pledge. Mr. Wheeler, welcome to your first board meeting.
All right, good evening, members of the board and Superintendent Cordell. Thank you for having us here to lead you in the pledges today. Since I am new here, I'm going to introduce myself. I'm Justin Wheeler. I have the honor of serving as principal at Lovejoy High School. So I have 3 high school students here with me today. Max Ratliff, and Max was the winner of 3rd place Great Plains Marimba competition, a national competition for student musicians. And I have Ashton Scott and Emily Shemansky from the Color Guard program. Ashton is our Color Guard captain, and Emily is our Color Guard lieutenant. And Lovejoy Guard was named the most outstanding guard at the UTA Guard Camp this summer. So some great things going on from these students. So I'm going to ask Max to come up first. He'll lead us in the U.S. pledge, and then Ashton will lead us in the Texas pledge, followed by Emily with our moment of silence.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now for the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Please join me in a moment of silence. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler and team, for that. Item 6 tonight is introduction of new hires. Ms. Koenig.
Okay, let me turn it on. Good evening, board. I'm so excited to be here tonight, and I'm super excited to introduce our new principal of Sloan Creek Intermediate School. Our new principal is Amanda Puckett. Many of you probably already know Amanda. She was the coordinator of our LCDC, Lovejoy Child Development Center. She has some great experience that she's bringing with us. She has actually grown the program over there, and we brag about it because now everyone wants to come here, and has created a waiting list. But she was a teacher, instructional specialist. She was also director of a preschool at one time. One of the best things is she is an Aggie, a former Aggie, graduated from Texas A&M. Woo! So Amanda Puckett, we want to recognize you, and we are so glad you're going to be the principal of LCDC. So if you want to come on it. Sloan Creek. Sloan Creek. You're leaving LCD. Sloan Creek. Hey. No. We also want to introduce her family is here with her, and I believe Scott. Scott, do you want to come on up too? We have Scott. And she has 2 sons that are in Lovejoy. We have Barrett and Bennett.
And Barrett's still at camp.
Barrett is still at camp.
Yes.
Right. And Barrett is going to be a junior, and Bennett, 8th grade at Willow Springs?
8th grade.
Okay. There we go. We want to get that perfect, right? Congratulations.
All right, next up tonight is public comments related to agenda items.
No comments this evening?
No comments this evening. Thank you very much. All right, Marvin, could you lead us in our invocation, please?
Sure. Bow with me. Dear God, thank you so much for this time that we have together tonight to deliberate tonight's agenda for the benefit of our students. Thank you for all these wonderful leaders that we recognize tonight and the students that have such great successes. Thank you so much for all this and all of our blessings. Amen.
Amen. All right, item 9 tonight is notification of new hires, resignations, and public information requests. You have that notification item in your board book. All right, item 10 is our consent agenda. Anything we would like to discuss before we consider action on the consent agenda this evening?
There was one item in the consent agenda talking about approval of bond funds. I don't remember in the past ever including something like this in the consent agenda. I think it is something we've spoken about in previous meetings, but I would just like to make the request that anytime we're approving spending bond funds, that we probably not include that in the consent agenda moving forward. I didn't see anything concerning on these items that I had question about, but I want to make sure we always have the ability to deliberate and ask questions when we're approving that type of an item.
Okay, duly noted, Jason. Thank you for that input. So 10H tonight, why don't we just recap that really quickly at a high level from what we're doing with those bond funds real quick in light of that? Something? Thomas, can you do that for us?
Okay, so the projects that we have listed for you to consider and act on with the use of the bond funds, we have several projects. We have one is the build out of the transition room here, located here on site. We also have some lift pump replacements that need to be, we need to look into and replace. And then for security purposes, adding some additional fencing there at the Leopard Stadium. And then the replacement of the high school auditorium lighting, roughly $200,000. So with these projects, we're exhausting our 2021 bonds. We're reaching that 3-year period where we need to have them exhaust them. Within the initial bonds, we had approved for replacing our, can't think of it now, our accounting software, finance software. Although we do need to explore that as an option to make things a little bit more efficient, it's not a priority right now. We're not in a place where we have the capacity to take on a transition, so we've released that $268,000 to some of these more pressing items for the district. And then Lori and Kyle are happy to answer any questions that you may have in regards to these projects.
So the high school lighting, it no longer works at all.
So the lighting is the original lighting, whenever that area was constructed in the auditorium. It's limping along. We've got a Band-Aid that we've placed on it currently, which would be a control board that we're actually leasing from a company. But everything needs to be completely replaced. That's wiring, cabling, lighting, control boards, control panels. But what we want to make sure is that we've got the funding available when that day comes, that it decides that our Band-Aid is no longer appropriate. But at the same time, we want to make sure that we coordinate with our architect VOK, and we don't want to make a large capital investment in something that's not going to make sense if we're going to, as we consider our long-range plan into the fall. So we just need to have the funds available in that we get into a situation where that space isn't usable for our students.
And a lot of that equipment's so old that it was probably difficult to find fixes for this, or?
It's extremely difficult, and so one of the vendors that we've utilized in the past for this equipment requires us to send the equipment to them. It's so old. They have to research and figure out a fix. We don't have the time to do that, and so we do have a vendor that's got equipment on site that can come out We essentially rent that equipment from them at a reduced cost. It's basically a plug and play, and that way we're at least operational.
But it's not a long-term solution.
It is not long-term at all, no, sir.
And recapping the dollars, using interest, we're not touching the 9.5 million remaining in, okay,
Any of the 9.5 or any of the interest that we've earned so far on the 9.5.
okay,
It's all
thank,
in 2021.
okay. So we still have the 9.5 to work with, future projects, we're spending the interest we earned last year on this project.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Any other questions about the bond proposal for 10H? Okay. Any other items in the consent agenda you want pulled? If not, I'd consider a motion.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So move Jason James.
Second?
Second, Marvin Bobo. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you very much. All right, item 11, consider an act on the 24-25 Student Code of Conduct. Dr. Zambezi.
It's just the presentation. It's just the presentation. Okay, got it. That's fine. Almost there. All right. Members of the board, Superintendent Cordell, thanks for having us tonight to present the Student Code of Conduct for 24-25. We looked at numerous model documents, and the two main changes highlighted were additions this year. The first of which was Texas Education Code 37.006 in our District of Innovation Plan for vape-related infractions, automatic DAEP placement. A note has been added next to that item in our Student Code of Conduct to reference that when you're referencing the Student Code of Conduct. And next is the opt-in, opt-out policy for parents, but based on library materials. And what we see here is it just says a student will not violate that. This year, without the legislative session, you'll see a little bit less changes and additions than if it were next year at this time, when you'll see a lot more updates.
Just to clarify, the updates that were made this time around, I understand were fairly minimal in nature.
Yes, ma'am, just
correct?
those two updates. It was opt-in, opt-out, and then the vape-related infractions. And we just wanted to let you know that there's a little note there that next year there'll probably be a lot more.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Makes sense. And parents will sign off on this? Parents and students will sign off that they're understanding of the handbook?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Consent form and acknowledgement form.
All right, so he's asking for action to approve the Student Code of Conduct for 24-25. Any other questions before we consider a motion?
I move that we adopt the Student Code of Conduct as presented.
So move Julie McLaughlin.
Second?
Second, Marvin Bobo. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. All right, item 12 tonight is an update from our legislative subcommittee.
So there's not much in terms of Texas legislation to update as the special session is, or excuse me, the regular session is gearing up to take place later this year. But there has been some developments from a legal standpoint regarding federal regulations, widely reported in the media, so everyone's most likely aware, but I wanted to make sure. I believe everyone's aware that the Department of Education modified Title IX to include sexual orientation and gender identity into Title IX. That has been met with legal challenges throughout the country. As for Texas, on July 11th, the United States District Court for the Northern District of Texas Amarillo Division granted preliminary injunction to the state of Texas on the final rules to prevent them from taking effect on their effective date of August 1st. That's in line. Texas became the 15th state, I believe, to enjoin those final rules from taking effect. Previously, a federal court in Fort Worth had granted a preliminary injunction on the guidance documents, but the July 11th ruling actually details the final rules and prevents those from taking effect. Notably, one other item or development on just last week on July 17th, the Fifth Circuit affirmed the preliminary injunction on the same issue that was granted in a Louisiana case. So that kind of will telegraph what will happen with this preliminary injunction once it reaches the Fifth Circuit. So we'll continue to monitor that litigation as it goes forward, but the bottom line is that the district's not planning any changes to any of its policies, and these final rules will not go into effect on August 1st.
Thank you for that update. Item 13 tonight will be our presentation on the Lovejoy ISD School Health Advisory Council Annual Report for 23-24. Dr. Tinsley.
Going too fast here. Thank you. So we are required annually to provide a report on the School Health Advisory Council, better known as SHAC. And there are 4 areas that we have, and you have a copy of the written progress report there in your board docs, is that we define what the role and duties are of the SHAC. We discuss the legislative requirements of the SHAC committee, and then list of meeting dates, and then goals, activities, and accomplishments. So what I'm going to review with you tonight is the 23-24 report there. So just a reminder, is an advisory group of individuals who represent different segments in the community. You do, as a board, approve the SHAC committee. We'll be bringing to you the recommendation next at August board meeting to recommend approval of the 24-25 SHAC members. And then, so it's made up of parents, community members, students, and school staff. So duties is looking at the curriculum that we utilize for these areas outlined here, and we look at individual grade levels, and the areas that we look at is prevention of obesity, cardiovascular disease, diabetes, through more of a coordinated health program, and then also physical education and physical activity, nutrition services, parental involvement, and prevention of tobacco use. We also look at strategies for teaching these skills to our students, and the committee is instrumental in providing guidance for recommendations with that. So the meetings that were held during the 23-24 school year are outlined here. There were 5 meetings held during the year. And just to let you know where we were with our goals, our mission statement is laid out here, discussing about our school policies to maintain the health and wellness of our students, employees, and community members. It outlines our vision statement, and then it looks at health and physical education, school health communication, and then also the social emotional wellness of our students and staff. So our accomplishments we want to lift up is that we did update the bylaws regarding student membership and targeted attendance rates of members. We did feel like that the student membership was pivotal in ensuring that we had the student voice, and these are generally high school students that serve as members, as you may recall. We did review our district wellness plan and received some feedback from our student nutrition department on what we were offering. And then also, we reviewed the American Heart Association's Kid Heart Challenge program and recommendation for implementation, and then reviewed materials for education on child abuse, domestic violence, and dating violence. So you saw review. We have not come forward yet with the recommendation of those materials yet. So that's what the committee will be working on for the 24-25 school year. So any questions about the annual report of SHAC?
We appreciate the community serving on that committee. Thank you for the update.
Thank you very much. Item 14 tonight will be our safety and security update. Mr. Percival.
Good evening. So with 17 days between now and the first day of school, we thought it would be appropriate to provide a brief safety and security update. Last Thursday, our district safety and security committee held its summer meeting. And so I'm going to invite Casey Littlefield, our director of safety and security, up, and we're going to go through and recap some of the items that we talked about, which include training and some initiatives for the program.
Into the 24-25 school year, we feel like it's imperative to start incorporating and enhancing our training program when it comes to staff members. So we're gonna start to roll out tabletop exercise and integrate that into just planning days, training days, and just really anytime there's opportunities throughout the year. And our goal would be that we can provide some scenario-based training to our teachers. So we do a really good job at standard response protocols and going over that, but we really just want to enhance and start building off a scenario base. And so we're going to start integrating tabletop exercises, as well as, as moving into the future, allowing us to incorporate that as we build a bigger program with our first responder partners and obviously our district team. The clear bag policy review, I think Dr. Zambezi is going to speak a little bit more to this here in a little bit, so I'm not going to touch on it. The safety and security signage update. So for those of you that hadn't been on a campus in a few weeks, we do have some new signage updates. And really what we wanted to do with our signage updates is to provide guidance right from the get-go when you pull onto the campuses. So there's one on there, for example, that says all visitors during school hours must immediately check in at the front desk when you enter our property. So really just giving guidance so that there's no questions asked. And then as we move towards the back of our facilities, such as athletics, if a fence is locked and a facility shut down for the evening, we put signage up that says fence jumping's prohibited. Really, again, just to give guidance so that everyone understands the expectations really around safety and security. So as you get onto our properties, you're going to see some good signage. The high school has some regarding food deliveries and just different sorts of signage. Our annual emergency operations plan review is currently in the process of being conducted. We will be sending this out to our district safety and security committee in the next few days. And then obviously every year annually we update our emergency operations plans. We go through a review process, and then ultimately in September and October we will submit those to the Texas School Safety Center for review. So there will be some things that we're going to add this year in way of severe weather, in way of cybersecurity, in a few different places. So we're going to be doing that in the next couple of months, and then that review will be conducted. And then lastly, radio integration with transportation. So up until this past couple of months, if you were going to operate radios in our district, you would have one that was run off of a district radio system, and then transportation would have their own, and we weren't able to integrate those two systems. So we have been working with a vendor partner, and we now have a device that we're testing. They're going to put it in the press box where it's able to, basically, if I communicate on my district radio, it hits a device and then bounces to the transportation connectivity. So anytime a bus driver is out, for example, if they have cell-based service, they will be able to communicate directly to someone that has a district radio. So again, you think about transportation, they're traveling all across the region and state, and this gives way broader access. So it's a really good integration that we're currently working on. And I think that's it. Any questions?
Compliments to Casey and his team, the technology aspects of just that radio piece. We're ahead of a lot of folks. In speaking to Collin County, they're actually in the testing phase with that right now, and we're implementing it in each of our buses. So I appreciate the work on the technology side of ensuring that we have the tools we need.
All right.
Thank you, Casey. Thank you, Kyle. Next up is Mr. Percival again, Capital Planning Committee update.
So just to provide a quick update, we've not had a capital planning committee meeting since our last board meeting, but just to paint a picture of how we ended last semester, this is a shot of that final meeting that we had together down the hall in the LCDC cafeteria, and you'll recognize some of the faces in there. Our district community members, lots of stakeholders that are connected by way of Lovejoy ISD. So we're very fortunate to have that active committee. And so just to kind of bring everybody up to speed, back in June, the district did engage with an architect, VOK Architects, to be specific. And through that engagement, we've shared all of our facility assessment data and all of the committee input that we gathered over those 6 spring meetings that we began back in January and wrapped up at the end of May. So they've collected all of that. They've met with the cabinet and other district leaders. We've had a meeting where they've started a curation process. That's going to dovetail right into the fall work that we'll bring back with the Capital Planning Committee, where we'll look at our critical systems that we talked about and identified throughout the spring. We'll come up with a plan for those. And we'll also develop a long-range facility plan. And those dates that you see down there, there's 4 of them in early fall. That's where we'll really hammer out that long-range facility plan, looking at associated cost and then funding source options. Any questions that I could take care of in relation to the Capital Planning Committee previous meetings or those that are coming up?
Thank you, Kyle.
Thank you.
I might also mention one other thing, and it's more on safety and security, but just wanted to compliment you all and Ms. Cordell and our team on the integration of Collin County, Town of Fairview, both police chief, fire chief, Lucas Fire Department, and our designated officer from Collin County. Wanted just to give a public thank you to all those parties for investing in our security program. They're also a part of that review of our program documents. So I just want to say thank you for that. That, as simple as that sounds, that has not always existed. And over the past 3 or 4 years, they have embraced the relationship, and these guys have done a good job connecting the dots. So the willingness and the desire and all of those things are there to keep Lovejoy top of the safety and security spectrum. So thank you for that as well. All right, item 16 is back to school information.
Yes, it's hard to believe we're already back. So this is going to be a group effort from all of us here in Cabinet, but I'm happy to start. 24-25 school year is upon us. This year we're creating just a roadmap for all of our parents. We'll be sharing this in our next Connect with Katie, which will come out in the next week or so. And we'll have everything you need and everything our parents need in that back to school issue, but we thought we'd preview it with you tonight for those that are watching so they can get a head start and a jump on it. You'll see something like this. We actually will have a few more little icons and you can select those, and all of those will be actively linked to either a form or information or something that you need. But Kim Steiner and I have been working to put this together. First is school supplies, and the link is right there. There's school supplies list for Puster, Hart, Sloan Creek Intermediate, and Willow Springs. Very specific school supplies list. The high school school supplies, they will be done by teacher, and we'll give parents ample opportunities to get those done and get those bought and for the high school. So, but we want your kiddos prepared, and so that is there. We also then, steps for completion our annual enrollment form, and these are some new information here. One thing that, once again, what you'll do in PowerSchool is access the PowerSchool Parent Portal. The link is there. There's quite a few new forms in there you will see. Complete all the forms. We're asking those to be done by noon on August 4th, mainly so we can complete class list, so we can get schedules completed, because we're hoping by noon on August 5th to release all that information. One thing also that's super, super important that these forms are filled out is because we need updated information, emergency contacts, we need phone numbers, all those types of things need to be updated in there. And there's quite a few more For example, staff directory, going in and improving, if you want your kids in the yearbook, those types of things. It's going to be a little bit different this year. We've never required all the forms to be filled out, but we're asking those just to ensure that we have the completion and that we can ensure that your kids will be on a class list. And also, when they log into PowerSchool, they will have a schedule. Okay, so if on August 5th at 12 or that afternoon, if you don't see a schedule or if they're not on a class list, that probably means you haven't completed the forms yet. So please get in there and get those done. And then to get ready for our back-to-school campus events, of course, on August 6th. And we have, I'm going to give you the times of those. So August 6th.
Ms. Koenig?
Yes.
Back to the PowerSchool
Yes.
expectation for the completion of the forms. Are those live yet for parents to be
They
able
are
to
not
do?
live yet.
Okay. So
They will
parents
be
need to
live
wait.
within this week, yes.
Okay,
So let
parents
me make
should
that
wait.
clear.
Yes. Parents should wait until they
Yes.
receive the communication before they go in and go
Correct.
through those steps.
Yeah, we have the communication ready. We were waiting on a couple of forms that we had to input, and we had to work with PowerSchool on a few forms there, but they will be. You probably have been in there because you probably have seen the transportation forms. So you might have seen the transportation forms. That link is live, and we're collecting on that right now. Good question. Thank you. And then our back-to-school Meet the Teacher, you'll see that. They're all listed there, starting that morning. It looks like about around 9 a.m. And from Founder's Day to Walk the Creek, Walk the Springs, all of those events that day. And then our school times have not changed. We wanted to make sure you have that information. They're the very same as they were last year. And of course, all this, as I said, will be in Connect with Katie. And we also have our school calendar. We wanted to bring something to your attention there. If you recall, when we first looked at the calendar, we always have a placeholder for Leopard Friday. And that placeholder actually we were close. It was Friday, September 27th. We were trying to do it later in the fall so it wouldn't be hot and weather wouldn't be impacted. However, due to our football schedule, we had to move it to October 4th. So that's the only date. That's only an early release day for LHS, the high school. So I don't think it's going to impact anyone there, but just know that it was moved from September 27th to August 4th.
On the high school dismissal, I think there's 4:45. I don't think that's right, is it?
High school dismissal, 4:20, early dismissal though? 4:25 on the form,
Yes, and then 12:30 and buses run at 1.
Okay, but then the other dismissal day was 4:25, was the time wrong?
Yeah, on the slide, it says 4:45.
Is it 4:25?
Yes, ma'am.
4:25, we'll get that corrected, thank you. And then the early dismissal on this day is 12.
12:30, and then the buses will run around 1. Those bus riders will have a chance to eat lunch.
Okay, 12:30 and 1. Okay, bus service.
Shuffle. So as Ms. Koenig mentioned, bus registration is currently open. To date, we've got about 850 that have signed up so far. So all of that's done through PowerSchool, through the parent portal. The registration deadline for that is the 24th, which is quickly approaching. The reason for that is so that it gives us an opportunity to turn around and assess the fees, collect the fees, and then start to build the routes. So our transportation team needs time to not only build those routes out, but also capture those students into each route location or stop location based on availability and drivers. And so we've had some shift throughout the summer, and so we kind of start to work through that puzzle. And so that's why the deadline, you'll see, we'll look at capacity and then most likely open that registration back up depending on how many seats we have available on additional routes throughout the district. Those payments are due no later than August 4th. Again, the transportation structure and fees haven't changed from last year to this year. That's going to be the same. And then we'll just continue to work with transportation through the process and provide updates to the community as necessary.
And as far as student nutrition, you may recall that during the June board meeting, we adopted the student nutrition budget, which included a price increase for the meal, which is 25 cents. So we've listed here the new prices for each of the levels. And then also, we do have the link available for those families who wish to apply for free and reduced priced meals. We do have to have this done annually, so each family who wishes to apply will need to complete a new income application, which is available online here. And then also online payments for school meals. So for those families who would like to start putting some funds into their account, it will be available starting on Wednesday, July 24th.
We will continue with the one-to-one devices for grades 5th through 12th grade, and we will be reissuing those devices to our students at the beginning of the school year. Also, we are going to be offering some parent sessions on Go Guardian, and then just the use of the devices. So some dates will be coming out soon. We offered those last year for parents as well. Also, the insurance is still available for our parents too that elect to purchase insurance. So really no changes from that standpoint of technology. And then also we had a very successful partnership with AlphaBest that we kicked off last year for the 23-24 school year, and we are continuing with the after-school option for our kinder through 6th grade students. We will continue to bus them over here from the campuses if parents elect to enroll their students in AlphaBest.
One more quick update for those in the community that enjoy volunteering in our schools. Each year, we require that a volunteer application be completed annually. So even if you came in towards the end of the spring or end of the school year, you'll need to complete a new application to volunteer for this upcoming school year. So please make sure you jump on there and do that. That's such an important part of what we do daily here in the district. And we want to make sure that we get everybody in and ready to go for that August 8th kickoff. And that can be found on the quick links page of the Lovejoy webpage. For safety and security, again, we went through the quick update, but what I'll remind everybody on this one, especially those first 2 weeks of school, traffic is always going to be slower than normal. It's going to be more congested than normal, which means we need to probably have more patience than normal. So please bear with us. We have technology now where we can review and look at live aerial images of our arrival and dismissal plans around the school district. We started doing that actively back in the spring. We've got some tweaks that we're going to make for the upcoming school year. Principals will get that information out to everybody along with a map. But please make sure you follow those maps and the signage that's been posted. We want to make sure that, number one, that we're keeping our kiddos and our pedestrians safe. So we just ask that you bear with us for those first couple weeks. Same thing goes with our bus routes and riders. The more congestion we have in and around our campuses, the slower it is for our buses not only to get to campus with our kiddos, but sometimes they're also a little bit slower getting home for those first couple weeks. So patience will be the name of the game, and we'll make sure that if anything changes, we push out a communication.
All right, Mr. Percival and Mr. Littlefield did a great job giving us a heads up about our Lovejoy ISD clear bag policy. So we will be starting this bag policy in 24-25 school year, and the policy will apply at Leopard Stadium during home football games. And as you can see, this poster right here will be clearly posted around our entrances at the stadium. And the measurements that you see here in the pictures are in line with best practices from around the state regarding places that already have clear bag policies. So we were able to research that and are excited to have these clear guidelines and then implement that in our stadium.
So this is only for football games, not other UIL activities at the stadium?
Yes, sir, great question. And so what we're doing with this poster right here is making sure that our community knows that this will be the expectation at home football games, and then we're going to get a little bit more guidance regarding the other activities and sports.
And of course, all this information can be found on our app that we started this year that goes along with our website. So we're super excited and hoping that that will help our parents and they will use that throughout the year.
So it says events. That's all Lovejoy events?
Yes.
All sports?
We're hoping for it.
All-
We're trying. We're
Okay.
working on it. So far, it's been pretty user-friendly. The great thing is for our coaches, I don't know if you know this, I'm going to give you a little bit of information. Our coaches were having to put events in several different places. And so this will so now they don't have to put it in one place and they can share it. So
Right.
that's one of the reasons we went with this.
I love it.
We're hoping.
I'm fixing to. I'm about to.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Mhm.
All right, thank you for that presentation. Board, any questions? All right, item 17, consider an act on the board policy updates related to TASB localized numbered update 123.
Right. Good evening, Board of Trustees and Superintendent Cordell. TASB has sent Update 123, which took close attention on our end prior to presenting the following policies for your consideration. As a reminder, if you look at this slide, legal policies should inform our decision-making and should not be adopted, whereas local policies should require close attention by the board and administration. Lastly, I'll take you to the next slide. The board has the ability to consider an act, including revising and/or repealing policy. Myself or the executive cabinet would be happy to answer any questions you may have. And you'll also notice in your executive summary, there's a little bit more detail as well.
So, policy-wise, board, you've had a chance to see these ahead of time. Are there any comments or call-outs you want to discuss regarding these recommended updates to our local policy?
More just a general comment. In looking through them, they appeared mostly administrative in nature, small edits, extra cleaning up of a word, or changes that were a result of a law change of some sort to the legal policy that needed to be carried through to our local policy to be in alignment with Texas law. Is that reasonable, or?
Yes, ma'am, that's
anything
correct.
of note? Okay.
And you'll notice where we marked our administrative edits for these.
All right. One item that I noted in EFA local in my review is that I noticed there was a little bit of a difference in some minor wording between EFA and EFB local regarding the reconsideration process.
Okay.
I'd be curious if we could take a look at that language so it would conform.
Absolutely. We can also just pull that one and revise it and bring it back to your attention for consideration.
I think
Should
if
y'all
we can,
please?
do you want to bring it back or just create consistency and we can approve it with the recommendation instead of having to bring it back to the board?
Absolutely. We'll take a closer look at it, create consistency for both of those, and then bring it back for your consideration.
Well, I think we'll approve it with the consistency. We won't have to bring it back.
Oh, okay. Yes,
Okay.
sir. Absolutely.
I move that we adopt the policies that are here as presented, as recommended by the administration, with maybe a minor review of EFA local for consistency in language to EFB local.
So moved, Julie McLaughlin. Second, Jeff Wood. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Thank you. All right, item 18 is cabinet reports.
So our district administrators and campus administrators have been busy the last couple of weeks and really long before that. It's always an exciting time of the year to prepare for our staff returning and then also, of course, preparing for our students. So I just wanted to give you an update on our back-to-school staff time, how we're going to be spending that. I've shared a schedule with you here. We're going to start actually this week. Last year, we started where we brought in our staff who serve our special education students a couple of days early because we just felt like they needed access to the general education training, but also there's some very specialized areas for training and planning from that team that we felt like were important. We got a lot of great feedback. They asked us to continue it, so we're doing that on tomorrow and Wednesday of this week. And then all of our new staff will be returning, will come on Thursday for our new professional staff orientation. And we have a fun day planned where we're going to introduce them to Lovejoy and traditions and just some of the fundamentals. And then all returning staff will come back on Monday the 29th. And what you see there is kind of outlines kind of big picture work that we're doing. And really what we did get some feedback from our staff on professional development. And we really have tried to design that where it's very campus focused and content and department focused and grade level focused as well too. But also going deeper into the work that we've already started. You'll see the curricular resource system, the rollout with that, and I've shared that with you at some previous board meetings. And then we're super excited about August 2nd, and we're calling that Knowing Students by Name and Need, where our staff are going to be able to really dig into as they get to know their students through Power School, through some of our applications and programs. So before kids even start the first day of school, we're going to have some time set aside for our staff to spend time getting to know their kiddos. Convocation is on Monday, August the 5th, and we'll kick off that at the high school competition gym. And then, as Anna mentioned, August 6th, our back-to-school events are scheduled on one day. We did change that last year where we consolidated that on one day. We did receive some good feedback from parents. They appreciated that. And then the day before school starts, August 2nd, is a teacher planning day. So, and then I just gave you a picture. Last week we had all of our administrators here in the library doing some heavy work and collaboration together as they were planning their time back with their staff. And we're super excited about the work that's coming forward.
Okay, I think that's working now. The finance updates. So we've hit the ground running. Our staff returned on July 8th, and when they returned, we had our accounting software system all updated and ready to go for their 24-25 budget, and all the positions opened, ready to go. We successfully processed our first payroll for the fiscal year. It was Lon's first payroll where he did it on his own with him and his new staff, Diana, which was a huge accomplishment. So we're super proud that we were able to get that out. And then our budget assistants are hard at work right now, entering in all their purchase recs, and we're processing through all of that. We are also hard at work in preparing for our audit for the 23-24 year. So our auditors will be here this week on Wednesday and Thursday to start their interim audit, and then they'll return on August 26th and 30th to wrap up their work. So as it relates to kind of an update on our 23 tax collections, as we kind of start nearing the end of the 2023 tax collections and entering into the 2024, what we see here is that for the month of June, we collected roughly $97,000, both on the M&O and INS side. And then after looking at the original levy and going through the whole process of all the supplementals and adjustments, we have collected roughly 99% of the revised tax levy to date.
Okay, wanted to give you an enrollment update. So currently, this is the students that we have currently enrolled in the district. As you will recall, enrollment changes daily. We have students withdrawal, we have students entrance. We have gotten, I've received a call today, a mom of 4. They're moving, they've sold their house, and they'll be here next week, she told me. So we are seeing more enrollment activity, I should say. So there are numbers: Hart 516, Poster 533, Sloan Creek 610, Willow Springs 687, Lovejoy High School 1591, for a total of 3937. I also wanted to share with you last year, or officially when we ended the very last day, some students might have left early, but it was at 4,025. I wanted to talk a little bit about pending registration. We have like 15 scholars that are pending because their siblings are waitlisted. They are currently in the number. We have some new families that have started the enrollment process but have not completed, and we have some staff children that are currently in that process too. So there's about 38 students there. We budgeted $3,899. Lovejoy Scholars, and please don't be alarmed, is at 267. However, we had 6 more. Those 6 students now are staff members. So we have a lot of that going on. They're still in the numbers, but there's some movement there. We have over 40 students on waitlisted also. So we're trying to, work through that too. Staff students, 182. So our anticipated enrollment as of July 16th was 3,937. So that's where we are. This does not include LCDC. If you recall LCDC, we get a 0.5. I think we have about 11 students in there right now that would qualify for ADA.
What was our enrollment last year, the first day?
It was, Thomas, do you remember? I didn't look it up. 40-20, about 40-20. And we actually ended about 40-38, if you'll recall, but as people, leave for vacations and things in May. That's just the official last day that was reported. Questions? Okay, thank you.
So just a very quick update on district support services as we get geared up to kick off the school year. Just want to kind of give a run through, looking at transportation, and already covered transportation a little bit earlier when we talked about the back to school information. But I talked about route and schedule development. That's a large logistical piece for our buses, for our bus riders, for our drivers. And so transportation is really working through that right now, especially our director, Michelle Leisure. Bus registration, again, that's open. That's important, very important aspect, and that kind of helps drive the routing and the scheduling. BOY, or beginning of year safety and training, we're right in the heart of that. A lot of the staff came back this week or today over in transportation. So there are going to be several things that we'll do between now and the beginning of school to get everybody acclimated to driving a commercial vehicle again. They spent the summers driving their personal vehicle. It's not the same. You really have to rely on your mirrors. You can't look over your shoulder and look out the back glass like you could a truck or a car. So we're going to go through a pretty regimented recalibration before we start running our routes this year. We're also going to do stop the bleed and CPR training. That'll happen 2 days before school starts. We'll do that with all staff members. And then Eric, the mechanic, has been very busy with his preventative maintenance schedule, and then also getting up to date on those state inspections for both yellow and white fleet. Safety and security, Mr. Littlefield did a phenomenal job bringing us up to speed in that area a little bit ago. As a recap, our maintenance grounds and custodial, so buildings and grounds are going through their prep right now to get us ready for that first day, especially for when we walk the creek or the springs, or we have meet the teacher night. We want to make sure we leave a lasting impression whenever families walk onto our campuses, whether they're returning families or they're new to the district. We want to make sure that the buildings are ready to welcome those kiddos and families. Auditorium repairs did take place. I did provide that, I believe, in the update, but just want everybody to know you can no longer see blue sky when you're standing inside the dome, which is a good thing. The only thing that's left is non-structural, and those are things that can only be completed if we drain the pool, so we'll have that coordinated at a later date. And just to give a little bit of a shout out and a brag to our custodial staff, they've really worked through and cleaned 850,000 square feet this summer. If you divide that out by the number of staff, it's pretty remarkable and incredible, the volume of what they accomplish over the summer. I won't even give a number on how many floors were stripped and re-waxed, because that's still ongoing, but it's thousands and thousands of square feet of vinyl tile. And then our grounds folks have about 200 acres that they maintain throughout the district, not including the vacant land on a state. So they've been super busy. Just want to give a shout out to them, and I want everybody to know that we're getting ready for our families to come back. Any questions that I can answer about that? Thank you. It always is. But you know, you really don't think, you have to have a complete different mindset when you get behind the wheel of a bus. And to jump from a two-door coupe right into the bus after not having been behind the wheel for a couple months, there really is a recalibration that needs to take place. So Ms. Leisure is going to make sure that everybody's up to speed and ready to go.
Thank you. Ms. Cordell? Sorry, Mr. Zambezi, Dr. Zambezi.
No problem. All right, we'll make it quick with Student Services Cabinet Report. Some exciting news. Fine Arts and Athletics Staffing Update. Fine Arts is fully staffed at Sloan Creek, Willow Springs, and Lovejoy High School. We got to meet a couple of them this morning at New Teacher Orientation. Athletics is fully staffed at Lovejoy High School, and we currently have one girls coaching opening at Willow Springs. Fine Arts, UIL Academics and Athletics, general update. So the UIL Lone Star Cup results became official on July 1st, and we are looking forward to celebrating that with our community in the near future. Questions on that?
That was brief, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Ms. Cordell.
Thank you. I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to all the staff members that are working so hard to prepare for our students and our staff to return, and to make sure the 24-25 school year is our best one yet. I can tell you that the work behind the scenes has been pretty incredible, and you can feel the excitement building. We can't wait to have our entire team of educators and staff back with us so that we can finish off those preparations, and are so excited about seeing our students on August 8th. So students, summer's not quite over. But time to start paying attention to some of the communication we'll be putting out in preparation. But we look forward to catching back up with everyone and launching the school year.
Thank you for that, Ms. Cordell. Item 20 is public comments related to non-agenda items.
No comments this evening.
No comments this evening, and with that, we'd be adjourned.